to take over your
I
office.
Should be some self-discovery thing. Okay,
You
well,
too.
great.
Look at this calendar. It's ridiculous.
First off, why is it on paper? Just kidding.
I usually have it in my phone.
Mine's the same way. I
You
have a
know
hard
what
copy.
though? I have to have this. I
I
like
have
my
to do
cash
both.
planner.
I do too. So this will actually probably be a little bit more fruitful. You know, a couple of experienced agents versus kind of trying to teach this from the ground up. So let's focus on a couple things. And honestly, agents that are experienced and already have a business, these are probably the two of the more important ones to think about, because you guys already understand lead generation. You get that, you understand your database, all that fun stuff. Where we begin to struggle, or what happens is we become so busy because our calendars looks like Leanne's that we don't pay attention to our budget. And we struggle for a couple of reasons with our organizational model. Number one, it's a budget thing. Maybe we're not managing our money enough to afford it, or it's a fear thing. Holy crap, you want me to hire somebody and pay them how much annually? That freaks me out. So, should we start with the budget model?
Sure.
The biggest question is, if we're out there making the money, and the thing is, in speaking with both you ladies, I know that keep you running profitable businesses isn't an issue. But I
know
think
what you're gonna talk about, taxes.
Yeah, but I think in everybody's business, it could be more profitable, right? There's probably always a little bit of waste or something in there, something we could do
Yeah.
that if we made a few changes would add to the bottom line. No different than what I do as a team leader here. Look at things and say, okay, what do we got going on? What are our expenses? Either A, do we really need that? Let's cut it. Or B, that's great. You know, who's our phone company? Can we, you know, switch to a different one and substantially cut costs or something like that, right? So what happens to the money? Most agents would tell you, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It comes in, I look at my bank account, it is what it is. I'm not tracking at a high level what my expenses are, what my true profit is, what's going out the door in terms of cost of goods sold, taxes, all that fun stuff. So a budget can be a powerful planning tool, and it's helpful to understand when you're looking at your expenses, instead of thinking of them as necessarily being cost, looking at them more from an investment standpoint. Right? If I'm making an expenditure in my business, if I'm looking at more as an investment versus a cost, what's my return on it? Right? Because if you're making an investment or you're spending money in your business, what kind of return are you looking for?
As much as possible.
That's probably the right answer. Are you looking for a dollar for dollar return?
Oh, I'd like to get 90% of my return.
You want to do more than a dollar for dollar return, right? Because if you do a dollar for dollar, then why would you even do it to begin with? You would just keep the dollar instead of spending.
You want that dollar to make you money.
Right.
If I spend $1, I want to make $2, for example, or something along those lines. So number one, are we tracking that to see what we're investing or spending on our business annually versus what we're bringing in? And then are we making any adjustments that we need to? The best phrase, and probably in my humble opinion, one of the best business lessons or business mottos Keller Williams has, or really, builds everything upon, is leading with revenue. Yep. That's the real. When we always talk about how, of all the new agents that get in the business, a year or two down the road, majority of them aren't in the business anymore, right? It's because they didn't do this.
Oh, they spent it before they even had it.
What's the opposite of lead with revenue?
Spend
Lead
without.
lead with expenses.
Lead with expenses.
Lead with expenses. And you hear people say, well, you got to spend money to make money.
Yep.
Not necessarily.
You can spend a little money.
Right. Well, and there's a difference between spending and investing.
There's a thing between, even if a person just goes out and goes prospecting, can be free. It really, if you go out door
Open
knocking,
houses.
and if you go out door knocking, and people go, well, I never find people home. Well, did you try different hours of the day?
Right.
I mean, don't just go out at 10 in the morning.
Well, I was looking at this thing from Anna Homegrown. Would you get that? Probably don't use her. Homegrown. They send out this thing about door knocking. How can that
Door
be?
hangers.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got it.
Yep.
And so I thought that was really a good idea. And I did that in a neighborhood.
Right.
I just didn't bother. I don't want to knock on nobody's door. I just want to hang something and leave,
Right.
You don't want to talk to these people. I don't have time for that.
Well, leading with revenue can be said a couple of different ways. Spend only the money you make, or only a portion of the money you make, or make money before you spend it, right? And here's the deal. Everybody gets this in principle, especially, like, it's very easy for us to teach this to new agents. Hey, new agent, only spend money that you make, or only make money before you spend it. Where this actually becomes the most dangerous is agents that are actually out there doing business and have been doing it for a while. Because what do they start doing? It's like, hey, I got a little bit of money.
Better.
Let's throw some money at Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, whatever the hell else they want to throw money at. All of a sudden, they've got thousands of dollars going out the door monthly. They're still doing business. Commission checks are still coming in, so they think everything is fine, right? Yeah, I've got a couple grand going out the door, but I have 10,000 in closings this month, so I'm fine. No, what's 2,000 over the course of a year? 2,000 a month.
You're looking at $24,000.
$24,000, and if you're not holding it accountable and measuring it against your results,
he spends $4,000 a month on
that's nuts. It's nuts.
$4,000.
Here's what scares me about that, is that it's not sustainable and it's so risky, because what happens
48 grand.
if the market shifts and those leads dry up, what happens to his business?
Right. He's SOL.
He's done. He's absolutely done. So, people will look at, when we talk about the word leverage, there's a couple of different types of leverage, right? There's people, there's systems, there's tools. But what's another type of leverage that we don't talk about when it comes to this?
I don't know.
Debt.
Oh.
That's leveraging money.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
but here's a big distinction. When we talk about leverage, we don't talk about leveraging money or leveraging debt. We talk about leading with revenue and making investments back into your business and then measuring those investments for return and holding them accountable. So that's what I say, and I've fallen guilty to this before. I'm not really necessarily worried about the new people as much, because here's the deal about the new people. They'll actually do what I tell them to do. Because they're new,
They have nothing else.
they're new, they don't know what they don't know, and all they do know is Zach's doing a level of business I desire to do it someday. I'm probably just going to listen to that guy and do what he tells me to do.
Yeah.
It's agents that have been doing this for a while. They're like, here's the deal, dude, this is my business. I'm going to run it the way that I want to. I'm like, that's cool. But here's the deal. If you want to be more profitable, or you want your business to be more healthy, these are the things you need to focus on.
Yeah.
Right? So playing red light, green light, we all know and understand that, right? Hey, I'm gonna give myself the green light to spend a little bit of money. I'm gonna try out this lead generation source maybe for a couple of months, track it, see what the return is, and then either A, continue to green light it and let it keep moving forward if I'm getting a positive return, or if it's a return that meets my threshold, or B, I'm gonna red light it, turn it off, and shut it down because it did not work. Okay. At the beginning of the year, so I would say, I think in the beginning of 2017, it was either toward the end of 16 or 17, I said, okay, I'm going to try a couple of zip codes. I'm just going to try it and see how it goes through Zillow and Realtor.com. And I shut them down. I can't remember how long. Beginning of this year, I called Kelly. I said, Kelly, I want you to price me out Zillow, and I want you to price me out Homes.com or whatever in these specific zip codes. This time I was just very selective. They need to be like Bill, or we're not doing them. We'll try them out. We tried them out for like the first few months. A month or two ago, I said, call, cancel them off. We weren't getting a return, right? But I would get the biggest.
But they're terrible.
They are terrible. And the biggest difference was this: in the past, I just signed up for them, and I
didn't pay attention.
Yeah, I
You
didn't pay attention to the expense.
Yeah.
Just worked them and saw what happened, and great. I told myself, well, I closed a few of them, so it must be working, right? But when I went back and did the analysis, what I was closing and getting commission dollars wise wasn't necessarily worth it.
It was probably money that you would have received anyway, because it's probably a referral from somebody, or, you know what I mean?
Or Debbie, it was money that had I invested it into database or referral instead, right? Because here's the deal: when I was all said and done, I like broke even.
Yeah.
Is it worth spending a few $100s or $1,000 a month just to break even? No. Why would you do that, right? So here's the deal. I went into it this time saying, I want to try it again. I want to see if it's any different. It's changed. We green lighted it. We gave it a shot. Didn't work. Hey, it's not an emotional decision. It's a business decision. It's about the numbers. Cut it. We're done. We might try it again later, but here's the deal. I know right now we're good to go, and all the business we're getting anyway is coming from repeat referral and other sources. So I'm just gonna dabble with it. No, by the way, I had plenty of revenue to try to. I didn't go, take a loan or do a personal
Can I ask
line of
you,
credit.
how much did you end up paying per month?
I was very reserved. We probably weren't paying any more than $400 to $500 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my question on that.
Mhm.
If you took that, just say if you took $200 more a month
Mhm.
and put that into sending out more postcards to your database, do you
Mhm.
think that you would return more?
I know that's the case. I know that's the case. But in our business, we're firing on all cylinders when it comes to our database.
Sure.
So my estimation was, this was me for my personal business. Here's my database, right? I'm squeezing everything I can already get out of there, right? Just more, of course. But I am tapping this thing dry right now. So if I want to increase, where can I go? I said, okay, we're already doing good here. We're crushing it with our database. Let's take a few $100 a month and see if we can compound, if we can add to that by trying out some online stuff. Well, I didn't like it, so I just cut it off. But we didn't give up or surrender on this in the meantime.
Right, right.
Great question.
Kind of like us with, when we do get busy and we've got inspections and we've got this and we've got that, instead of leveraging that out, we go and try and do everything.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we stop lead generating, so we don't have any leads coming in.
Right.
Because this is why we're all cyclical. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's a constant runaround. Like, I paid different people to do my inspections, to go to them for me.
Mhm.
So I could keep doing my lead generation. And I
That's
tell you what, when I do that, my business increases.
I just don't even go to inspection. So
I thought we had to.
you don't have to. If Jim tells you differently,
You guys are talking about inspection, you're talking about house inspection, right?
Yes.
home
Okay,
inspection.
home
Yeah.
inspection.
We've been told by our MLS, illegal or against the rules.
No. It's about who accesses it. So my home
Yeah.
inspectors, they book
Yeah.
the showing and they get approved access to go in
Okay.
there and have an e-key. Yeah. You can't just book it, let the
No.
inspector go.
Right.
But I would find an inspector and say, hey, I'll do business with you
Yeah.
under this circumstance. You're the one calling and,
And Home Pro has the keys.
right.
I know.
So, and they don't have to be a
And
member
then if we
to,
just came half an hour at
Well,
the
if I
end,
made the
don't do that.
let them do it.
made the appointment, well, I use
So
buy-in.
let's push pause for a minute and let's have that. I'm gonna jump to
Okay.
this for a second.
All right.
And we'll talk leverage, because I used to do this. I tried to insert myself into everything. It was like, okay, let me help you, because to me, I was telling myself it's a service thing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what do you're trying to figure out, John, you're trying to figure out you're my buyer. What, you went for closing costs? Well, let me go call your lender, Debbie, and figure that out for you. Debbie, we're working with John, we got an offer, we're gonna make, what does he need to ask for on closing costs? Okay, hey, this is
what I did.
right, hey, this is what you need to ask for. And they're like, great, okay, well, if we did that, what's my monthly payment gonna be? Well, let me go ask Debbie. Debbie, if he does this, this, and this, what's the monthly payment gonna be? Okay, hey, John, she said it'd be this. Okay, well, what about if we did this? Well, let me go ask Debbie, right? Holy cow, why am I doing this when you guys just need to have the conversation?
Exactly.
Right? So guess what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that's a great question, call your lender.
Yep.
And you guys just let me know what you figure out and I'll make it happen.
We have a team. We just don't use it.
Right. Well, and here's the deal, the lender, they're gonna make a lot of money on that deal
Yeah.
too, right? So
Yeah.
guess what, I'm gonna make them work to earn it.
Yep.
Because they're not the showing properties. I love me some lenders, but I'm gonna make them carry their workload. So here's how that sounds too on the home inspection. What we do is we call our client and say, hey, we'll call the inspection company first. And we'll say, hey, what's your availability over the next few days? Awesome, we'll call the client. Hey, this is their availability over the next few days, what works for you? Fantastic. Call the inspection company. Hey, here's our client's contact information. This day, this time works. Go ahead and schedule the home inspection. Send us a report when you're done.
I need to have it done by this date.
Right, right.
So that we can.
So I let the home
Yeah.
inspection company coordinate and schedule all of that. They're the ones getting permission to go into the home. I'm completely removed
Do
from
you
it.
go at all to the
We do not even
inspection?
go. I've been to
Okay.
one in my life because it was a single mom. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I need to be there. Then I think Carly went to one like a week or two ago because she was concerned that the inspection might kill the deal. So she wanted to be there just to handle anything if they need to. Other than that, we don't go. Because here's the deal. Let's take our ego out of the equation
Yeah.
for a minute. What are you going to do at a home inspection?
Oh, I sit outside on the deck and I try
Yeah.
to keep
So
working.
you know what that equals? That equals waste of time.
Yeah.
It does.
It's a waste. You're not a home inspector. You're not. So why are you there?
Because they told us we had.
Because you feel like you have to be or something, right? Is this an
Well,
expectation?
for a while, our broker told us we had to do
Yeah.
that.
That was what
It
we were
was.
told.
Right. I hear you.
And so
telling
we
you.
did it.
Right.
However, then you get into that groove and you think, now I have to be
Right.
there, and we don't.
Well, and some people consciously
I'm with
say,
you.
some people consciously say, I want to be there. I'm like, yeah, that's great, dude. I love that you want to be there. That's awesome. In my business, I don't have time to.
No.
And it's been working for us. I did it since day one because when I was learning, somebody told me, you don't need to attend those. It was my mom who told me that. So I never did.
Well, I wish someone had
So
told me that.
it was never a drunk monkey
Yeah,
for me, right? And it's been no problem since. The professional is there. I get a report when it's done. Sometimes I look at the report and I call the inspector and say, hey, tell me about this on page 3. What do I need to know? Okay. That's leverage in a nutshell. They're being paid to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, red light, green light, holding the money accountable. So these are the 2 words that I would focus in on. We're holding our money accountable to results or return, right? I'm holding that money, that expense, that investment in my business accountable to the return that I expect as a business person. I've been told I have a high threshold for return. For me, I like to see a minimum of 10%. If I'm making investments, I want to see a 10% return.
So I have a question about something.
Yes, ma'am.
Magnets.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you get a good return on them?
That's literally just more like a marketing advertising thing.
It's just getting your face out to somebody.
That's more of a branding thing.
Okay.
We do the things on the fridge, these little to-do list deals.
Yeah.
Like before I fought it tooth and nail. No, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of money. Carly and Kelly got them super cheap. I said, okay, let's do it. Now I love it because I walk into people's homes and I see that the Team Lucky Ducks on the fridge. What we do is during the final walkthrough, one of the last things we do before we leave is we just slap it on the fridge for them.
Or you could do a magnet with the chip clip thing, so
Yeah.
that they can hang
Whatever.
their little
So
calendar
long
or
as
whatever.
you've got the money for it.
Yeah.
And we've done mugs and stuff. But you know what, actually I should tell you this. What we did and where I found the money for this was instead of doing client gifts, because I would do a $50 gift card to a restaurant. Instead of doing that, we made our gifts all the other marketing material. So it's not like I'm spending more in addition to it. I just repurpose the money and put it toward, and here's my, how you could argue I get a better return on it. This is a one and done.
Yeah.
That other stuff has longevity, it'll keep lasting forever, in their home, wherever, right? The mugs and all that other crap. So that was one way I kind of said, okay, from a business standpoint, I can get behind that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing we struggle with as agents. Number 1, you probably don't have a budget. Number 2, if you have one, you're probably not sticking to it, right? So Leanne's laughing over there. She's like, yep.
I'm like, yeah.
So sticking to the budget is crucial. There's a great story that I sometimes hear told about Mark Willis and Gary Keller back in the day. Gary was kind of in the OP role, and Mark was the team leader of a market center. Mark came to him and said, hey, we've got to spend some money on this, this, and this. Is that okay? And Gary Keller said, yeah, that's fine. As Mark was leaving, he said, oh, by the way, where are you going to find the money in the budget to do that? He wasn't telling Mark, yeah, that's okay, just go spend an extra $1,000. He was saying, no, go back and revisit the budget and find out where you're going to steal that $1,000 from. So we're not just going to spend an additional. You're going to go back and look at where you can pull it from based on the budget we created at the beginning of the year. Right? Because it's so easy to say, well, my budget is $1,000 a month, but it's just 200 extra bucks. Let's just bump it up. Right? Sometimes it's okay to do that. But if you're really trying to hold yourself to a disciplined budget, you're either A, going to spend 200 somewhere, you're going to not spend that 200 somewhere else in order to be able to spend it there, or vice versa. And I always tell people this, and this is not, I'm not trying to get political, but I would say it's similar to running your business in this sentiment. When I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I'm doing my monthly bills and expenses, I don't just get to shove it off for another month.
No.
And say, well, we'll get to it later, right? It's kind of like the federal government in the deficit. Hey, here's the deal. If I have to balance my checkbook every month, I have to pay my bills every month, you guys should have to do the same thing, right? Why are you any different? It's the same with your business. Your business should square up every month and run a good budget. I have credit cards, but never once have I carried a balance on my credit card. The only reason I have one is for points, because Wells Fargo gives me cash rebates for all the points I use annually. I charge everything to a card, and I paid off the full monthly. It's leading with revenue, right? Sticking to the budget, review it monthly, weekly if you can, and keep a close eye on your expenses during growth. This is where it kills people.
It is.
And it gets back to that conversation I had earlier. You're like, ooh, I got $100,000 pending GCI right now. Things are going great. I got all kinds of listings going on. You're just throwing money everywhere left and right. Come tax time, number 1, you realize, holy crap, I didn't set any of it aside for taxes. Or B, where did all this money go? I don't have any more profit. Yeah, that's because while you were spending all this money, yeah, you had a lot coming in, but you're also just letting it flow right out based on all these other stupid stuff you're spending money on, right? And unless you're reviewing it monthly or weekly, it's hard to check. I'll take our card statement every month, and I look through it. And just last week, I emailed Kelly. I said, Kelly, homes.com is still showing up on here. I thought we canceled that. She's like, okay, let me check, right? So, unless you're reviewing it, they're going to charge another $50 a month between now and the end of the year, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a few $100,
Adds up.
right? It does that.
Absolutely.
Okay, page 157 in the MREA would show you an illustration of the budget model and all that fun stuff. So I'm not going to keep beating that to death, all right? But the biggest takeaways are leading with revenue, holding the money accountable, sticking to the budget, and reviewing it at least at a minimum once a month. Or have
It's hard
someone
to
else
do.
review it.
It's hard
Leanne,
to
have your
do.
spouse do it. I guarantee
He
you they'll get up
doesn't
in the
have
business.
time.
Let me review it. Submit a budget to me monthly. I'll take a look at it.
I'll give you my
Accountability.
credit card statement and.
Do I get to use it?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about organization, okay? I talked about this a little bit before. One of the reasons we struggle with organizations or hiring is, number one, we just don't know how to do it.
And you can't
We don't have
find
the
that
money
right
for
person.
it, or we're so freaked out about hiring somebody and being on the hook for that kind of money, it's nuts, right?
Yeah.
I would tell you, you can probably find a fairly good, a fairly talented administrative person, full-time, somewhere between 32 and 35,000 annually.
Where's that money coming from?
It's coming from your business. It's coming from your business.
That's right. We're gonna be
Um,
rolling in it soon here.
yeah. Well, let's and I would say, and you might choose to.
Can I ask a stupid question?
There's no stupid question.
So I'm so new into this. So let's say, for example, that's your budget for an administration.
Mhm.
And let's say you sell, would it be safe to say, like, if you're doing pretty well, if you sell, like, say 2 houses, would that cover that
Let's do the math.
balance for a year or
Let's do the
no?
math right now.
No?
Let's do the math.
You
So
only
I'm
make
gonna
about,
say, I'm gonna do this calculation
Yeah.
at 35,000 and I'm
Yep.
gonna round it up a little bit. So let's say that's about $3,000 a month.
Yes.
3,000 a month for an admin. Here's the big key. This is just a round number. I haven't factored in any tax, because if you've hired someone before, you learned, like I did the first time the hard way, yeah, I'll hire you at $32,000. Well, what does that actually mean? It means I'm probably paying closer to 34 or 35 because of all the taxes and crap that get added in there, right? So you have to keep that in mind when you're hiring. But I'm gonna say 35. I divided it out as about 2,900. I'm gonna round it up to 3,000 a month, right? Okay, John. So what's a good average sale price here in Rochester?
200,000, I keep hearing that's kind of average.
So let's stay conservative. Let's
Yep.
stay at 200.
Okay.
Okay. We're staying conservative, Leanne. Average payout in Rochester is what?
6%.
Well, to the buyer.
Oh,
3%.
I would love it if it's 6%.
Yeah, wow.
So that's $6,000, right?
Yep.
Okay, and let's say I'm gonna take 30% off the top. Let's pretend you're not capped yet, right? Even though you would cap at some point. Okay, that's gonna drop it to 42. Okay, and you said 2 deals. That brings me to 8,400, right?
Yep.
Got 8,400. So I'm gonna do another 30% reduction. So 70% of 8,800 is 5,880. Now, why did I take another 30% off?
Pay your taxes.
I took it off for taxes, right? That puts me at 5,880, okay? And I've got 3,000 in terms of my expenses for my admin. So 5,880 minus 3,000 gives me what?
880.
1,800.
How much?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
3,000 off of that would be 2,880.
2080, yeah.
2,880. Or if I took 2,880.
What are you gonna pocket 1,000 already?
Well, that's always for Megan and my photographer and all these other expenses that I
So
have
that
to
brings
think about.
me to 34,560. And that would be doing 24 deals annually, right? So that's at 24 deals
In a year.
in 1 year. Now here's the deal, before you get freaked out, there's a lot of expense that I factored into that,
Yep.
that doesn't exist, because at some point you switch to 100%, right?
Yep.
So I would say, this was a very, very conservative estimation, but it breaks it down for you.
Yep.
All I can do is give you a personal example for my business. Last year, we did 49 units, gross commission income of about 300,000. We've got margin for an admin.
Yeah.
Right? I had margin for an admin at about 30 deals annually. Okay? So if I'm doing 24 here, let's say I work it up to about 30 deals, my average sale price was probably in the low 2s at that time. It's increased since then. But if you back out some of the other stuff you're getting, and oh, by the way, this salary I'm paying up here, does that get taken off the top of my taxable income as a business expense? Absolutely. So this is ultra conservative, right? But you had room to pay an admin, even from a conservative estimate. You weren't making much yourself once it was all said and done. Matter of fact, you're making about as much as they were. But it can be done if you're managing your money.
If you hire that right admin, you're gonna possibly double your income the next year,
Potentially,
potentially.
if you keep doing the things that you need to be doing.
Yes,
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, my admin doesn't cost 32 to 35. She costs more than that.
Yeah.
Right. But that's just a conscious investment we're willing to make in that person.
And your return on her is you're making way more than you're putting out. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's good.
Let's do a quick.
so Zach, how did you go about hiring your admin?
They knew her.
Well, but she wasn't our first one. Our first one was a gal named Holly. She's awesome. She's actually when I was before I went overseas, I was slated to go overseas again in like 2016. It was shortly before I actually came here because I was supposed to deploy. They said, oh, by the way, we're not going to deploy you. And then this opportunity came up, and I was like, oh, it's maybe kind of a sign. But anyway, we actually started winding down our business. And Holly moved off our team and took another job. And now here we are, like 2 years later, she's back in the office and she's doing admin stuff for another team. In the meantime, we hired Kelly. But at the time, Holly had a real estate license, and she was newer, and she was young, and we did the disc, and we did the AVA, we did all the interviews, and we hired her, and she did a great job. And she was more in line with that figure. Phenomenal job. We called her our client services coordinator. She did transaction management, she did marketing, the database, all that fun stuff. But that's how we found her. I consciously asked myself, who do I know that I think would do a good job at this and kind of fits our values and our personality as a team. Kelly was a completely different story. I found out I wasn't being deployed. We needed to rehire an admin.
Yeah.
Had a conversation with her. I always told Karen, I would love to hire her, but we can't afford her. We can't afford Kelly based on what she's doing right now. Had a conversation, realized for Kelly, quality of life was more important. And we basically said, okay, what do you need to net per paycheck in order for us to make this work for you?
And she started full-time?
Came right on full time. Yep.
What did you start her at?
I can't even remember.
Was like 15, 20, 30 bucks an hour?
I don't look at the hourly wage. I'm
You
just
just did a
a
salary.
salary guy. I know she's in the 40s.
Okay.
I know she's in the 40s.
But you didn't start that way.
No, and we.
You bumped her up with
she's-
bonuses
No,
and
she
things.
started there
Okay.
because
You
she's
had
that
to.
good.
Yeah.
And we do bonus though.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the year, and I think now we're bonusing her at least twice annually, right? But here's what I do. I lead with revenue. I look at what's in the bank and I say, okay, we can afford to bonus our employee. We love her, she's awesome.
And if I'm not
I can
mistaken,
afford to bonus.
your employee helps you guys with your client events, doesn't she?
Absolutely.
So, I
That's
mean,
built
that's
in.
like having 3 people, boom,
Yeah.
to take care of everything.
Absolutely.
you
And oh,
know?
by the way, we
Yeah.
kind of had the added benefit that she was kind of sort of tied into some of our sphere.
Yeah.
So when clients come to the events, they're mutual
knew.
friends of hers. too.
Yeah.
Not all of them, a good proportion of them. But here's the deal, because I have a lot of discussions, and this applies to me as a team leader too, is we'll talk about bonuses. Well, we just want to make them automatic. It's a certain percentage, and I say, well, I don't necessarily like that. What I want to have more control over. I want to see at certain points of the year where we are, what our revenue, what our profit is, and then decide to make bonuses I'm comfortable with, right? Because I just
What are
have
you
more,
doing, a
I've got
percentage, or
more
are you just
control
doing
over
a
cash flow.
number?
I pick a number in my
Pick a
business.
number.
I pick the number because I want to see where we're at. Because sometimes they can get crazy. If I just make it a percentage and we
Yeah.
crush it, someone's getting a $10,000
Right.
bonus as an admin. Like,
I
I
know.
love you, but I don't love you that much.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. I know this is being recorded. I don't want to get in trouble. But it's like, okay, let's use some common sense here. If we have a great month, awesome. We might get a $500 bonus or a $1,000 bonus, but it's not going to be crazy, because here's what will happen. If I keep running a business that way,
You're gonna have to put a red light on pretty soon.
either my expenses, my revenue is going to start being way more, or for me, I would say, here's the deal. I'm trying to safeguard and create as much profit as possible, because what I'm going to do with that profit is go get more profit. I'm going to use that. For me, my real estate business it's just purely for generated capital that I use to invest. And the more capital I have, the more I can invest, the more money I make, the more I can bonus my people. Right? So anyway, that's mine in a nutshell. So if I have a 300,000 GCI, that's gross commission income, that's not profit. Let's just back out 45,000 of that. Let's just make it an easy number. Let's call it 50. So that brings me down to 250 GCI, right? Let's back out to 19.5. Let's back out 3,000. Let's see where that kind of puts us quickly. So I've got 250 minus 19.5 minus 3,000. Now I'm going to back out taxes. So that brings me down to roughly 160. Right? Let's say miscellaneous other expenses. Let's get crazy. Let's say my miscellaneous other expenses are $30,000. Well, that means I'm sitting at roughly a pure net profit of about 130 grand, or about 10 grand a month in income, pure profit, expenses paid for, taxes accounted for, right? I can afford to have an admin at that point. That's a no-brainer. It's a conscious decision. And I used to get hung up on, this was just part of limited thinking. I used to really get hung up on this. I'm paying how much to somebody else? I could be keeping that.
I know.
That's tough. But I'll tell you what, now where I am in my life with two little ones, I couldn't put a price tag on the quality of life that brings. I will gladly pay that expense annually to have that talented person on our team, because it makes my life and my wife's life a lot easier having that person to help run
You don't have to go home and
business.
do everything at night.
Right.
You can go home and be a mom and dad.
Right, exactly. And in addition to that, Carly can be out working clients and working deals while Kelly's back in the office, handling, still providing phenomenal customer service and bringing deals together and prepping paperwork and stuff like that, right? So the money has to be there. I get people all the time. There's a guy in our office every day. He's like, I just need to hire somebody. I'm going to hire somebody first. I'm like, no, you need money first. You need deals first. And then you hire that person. You can't just hire somebody. Even if you have the money to do it, I would say, no, you got to do some of this stuff first and then hire that person on, right?
I remember Darren Kettleton in our very, very first bowl. Were you at that one?
I was not. I don't think I was with Keller Williams at the time.
Okay. He said, the time to hire your first hire is when you feel stressed about your business in any way.
So he's like, that's every day.
If you're overwhelmed with one piece of your business, then you need to hire that person. And he said, and that 30 to 40,000 can freak you out so bad. So why not start, even if it's part-time, at least hire some help.
And my personal opinion is in person. You hear a lot of people talk about virtual assistants and this, that, and the other. Now, granted, I have not tried it, so I probably can't give the most accurate take on it. But I tell you, man, there's no substitution for an in-person, real-life being.
It's the relationship.
It's completely different, and you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, you need them here. You don't need them overseas.
Right.
You need them in
they're
your
gonna
office.
learn. They're gonna learn a lot more when they're here with you.
Yep.
Anyway, so don't fall victim to some of that. For me, when people always ask when, I said, well, for me personally, it was around 30 deals, around about 5 million in volume. That's when I was getting to the point where
You're a little past. You need that.
that was when
I'm so glad you're keeping track, because I have no idea.
Volume is not necessarily the best with business, right? Because you could do 5 units, you could do 5 units and be at 5 million.
Exactly.
And that's manageable. But for me, especially when I'm working on first time home buyers, when you're dealing with people buying at 170, 30 units, or 5 million, that's a lot of units. For me, there's about 30. I need somebody that can be full-time prepping paperwork, coordinating with title, coordinating with lending, coordinating with my clients, taking care of home inspections. I need that, right? So that's what it was for me. But that means as you're getting up to that, when you get to that 25, 30, that's not when you all of a sudden say, okay, it's time to start the process of hiring. That process starts before that, so that by the time you're hitting that production, it's time to bring them on board and hire them, right? Otherwise, what happens is you get to 30, you kind of push a pause button, you hire somebody, and unfortunately, you went backward in production a little bit because you pushed pause on your business to go try to hire somebody, to interview, to post, to review stuff, all that. Then by the time you got back to doing your business, you hit a lull. Now you just hired somebody, you've got that $3,000 monthly expense, and you're doing less business. And all of a sudden you freak out, you don't know what to do, and you're like, oh my God, what's happening, right? So that's why when you're getting close to 20, 25, you start hiring, KPAing, or disking people, so that by the time that they're ready to be hired and pull the trigger, you've already worked up to that production, you bring them on, say start learning, and you keep going.
Is that 20, 30 units per year or per month?
Annually.
Annually.
And you hire your admin when you are stretched to the max, no sooner. You need to be tapped out. Tapped
3
out.
years ago.
And your first hire is your admin. It's not another agent.
Yeah.
Because your admin is part of your value proposition. If you don't have that critical part of your value proposition, you're going to be spinning your wheels on just hiring agents,
Yeah.
right? And you're looking for talent, nothing less. Maybe talent. Going the cheapest isn't always the best policy when it comes to hiring people, right? And that's a lesson I've learned with Kelly. It's been well worth it. Leverage comes in the shape of not only people, but also tools and systems, but you don't have to create the tools and systems before you hire somebody. Do what I did, hire Kelly, make her create the tools and systems. She's gonna be running them anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll say, Kelly, I need this, go research me some ideas, come back, pitch it to me, and then we'll make a decision.
So you went by the Monica Reynolds systems.
Kelly's been through it. Kelly and Holly both went through Monica Reynolds thing.
So you paid for their systems, that system for them to follow.
Yeah, whatever that is. And they ended up with some handbooks and stuff by the time they were done with it and all that fun stuff. But yeah. And now, like, Carly's passed off more stuff to Kelly than I ever did, which is awesome. But it's pretty big. Here's the deal. Once they're hired, it doesn't stop. You can't just hire somebody and say, well, thanks for joining the team, go figure it out. Right? That can work, but they might not stick around, or it might stress them out, and they might say, no, thank you.
If it's the type of admin that you're looking for, they'll say, Leanne, get out of my office.
I got
Let me
this.
go to work.
Yes,
And
but it's really hard to find
But you
that
still
type of
have
person.
to
You
train.
still got to train them, and you have to consult with them.
Yep.
Consulting is really probably just a fancier
For
term.
a meeting.
Yeah, for review, for like
Yeah.
a review.
Yeah.
And people are accustomed to. Did you guys have annual reviews at Mayo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is consulting means you're doing a review with them,
Yeah.
right? But I want to make a clear distinction. It's not that you can't, because you should be able to hire, bring them on, and then be able to leave, and then still do stuff, right? There's a difference between not being trained and not having initiative, right? You want somebody that will take the initiative. Hey, maybe I haven't been trained on this yet, or I kind of know. You don't want them to get paralysis from analysis. It needs to be someone that will take initiative to say, hey, I always say it in the military, in the absence of orders, use your best judgment.
Yeah.
Every one of my guys knows, if I'm not there, I trust you to make the best decision you possibly can, so long as it was moral and not illegal. I will back you 100%, even if it proves out to be the wrong one. You did the best you could at the time, right? Because I would rather have them take action and do something than sit back and do nothing. Yeah, it should be the same with anybody that you hire. Hey, I'm going to train you, we're going to consult you, but when I'm not around, I got to trust you to make good decisions. And yeah, there's been times where Kelly and Carly have both done things differently than I would have done. But guess what? I'm not running that anymore.
That's where you let go of people.
Right, and that's where I say, hey, I can see why you made that call. It was a good call. In the future, consider doing this, or I might have done this instead. I'm not saying you did the wrong thing, but next time give this a shot and see what happens. Because if I do that, there goes their willingness to take initiative anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: we got to remind ourselves, it's real estate. What's the worst thing that could happen? Right.
We have to understand other people might have better ideas than we have.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Absolutely.
You know.
And this happens. This actually happens with Katie sometimes too. Like, so Katie's so nice and she's so professional that she won't just come out and say, Zach, I disagree with you, you're stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's never said that. I'm just joking. So please laugh. But I can sometimes tell when, you know, she's kind
She's
of like,
conflicted about your
right.
decision,
So
yeah.
I'll say, Katie, tell me what's up. Like, tell me more. What's on your mind? Why are you thinking that way? Right? Because I want to shake it out of her so that we can have a quick dialogue.
Shake it out!
Right.
Oh my God.
Because like Debbie said,
Oh,
I don't know everything, and there's oftentimes where we'll be talking about expenses or the numbers and projections, and just say, well, we could do this or this. I got this great idea. Well, yeah, let's do that. I didn't even know that was a possibility, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, not to go off topic. But John, when we're looking at a model moving forward, right now I know you're at ground zero, so you're like, how much of this is applicable to me, right? But I sat in your same chair where I came from another company. Me doing anywhere near that GCI or 50 deals a year, I was like, I need to think about that, right? I was like, man, if I could do somewhere between 15, 20 deals, that would be amazing, right? And it's because I sat through stuff like this and started thinking bigger and realizing I can run things differently that I started working up to it. The scary, I was so scared to hire somebody. Like this, I was like, that's more than my mortgage.
Mhm.
If I hire somebody and pay them $32,000 a year, that's more than my mortgage right now. That's freaking scary. And that's 30 grand I could do something, right? It took a lot of faith, a lot of coaching, a lot of training, a lot of education to get to the point to help me realize that's what business people do. That's what wealthy, successful people do. You hire great leverage so you can keep growing and doing more, right? So this would be you as the lead agent. You hire your admin, and that continues to grow. They oversee people as your operation grows. You might hire agents for the listing side. You might hire agents for the buy side. However you decide to do this. And I'm very interested to see how the new MREA comes out and what it talks about. I'll tell you right now, our team looks like this. Carly is the lead agent.
Your wife.
That's my wife. Yep. Carly runs the show. And I would almost kind of put like, Kelly's almost like, I'm not going to put her like right to the side, but I'm also not going to put her right below. Kelly she's our operations person. And the relationship isn't necessarily an employee relationship. It's almost like another advisor or consultant.
Mhm.
Right?
Like a partnership. More.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Kelly
Right.
knows the buck stops here,
Right.
and Carly makes the decisions.
Yeah.
But it's a mutual,
Understanding.
respectful, she's very much valued, and her opinion is very much valued because she's a critical part of the business, right? And then, so over here I had like agents. Really, how we kind of had it set up is that the buyer agent kind of reports to Kelly
Mhm.
for a couple reasons. The first foremost, it frees up Carly. She doesn't need to deal with the buyer's agent all the time. Number two, Kelly has the knowledge to be able to help that person, like as paperwork, transactions, etc. If it's a hairy, crazy negotiation thing, they might call Carly to get an agent's perspective. But if it's to coordinate showings, to coordinate title, to coordinate lending, work in the back end of a website for leads, the conversation does not need to take place with this person. Our operations administrative person will take care of it. Oh, by the way, she's the one handling the transaction coordination as well, right? So their relationship is very tight. We have built in she is the accountability mechanism for this person. She'll say, hey, how's your lead generation coming? What do you have? What's your pipeline look like? Do you have any pendings? When's the last time we showed this person, right? But this right here, this relationship right here, makes that salary investment, that gets me the best return on it possible. Because not only is she doing her job, which is freeing us up and providing leverage, she's also holding him accountable to generate money as well. So now that's money well spent because it's money that's generating even more money.
So when you get to a certain point,
Mhm.
you'll probably hire somebody to work as Kelly's assistant to work with stuff like
It
that.
will either be an assistant for Kelly, or it will be another administrative person that just has a different duty. Like right now, Kelly's doing transaction management in addition to other stuff.
Mhm.
If we get big enough, transaction management will probably be its own beast. What I want Kelly to do is I want Kelly to grow into an operations person to where there are other businesses that we own with Kelly, and she runs them.
Mhm.
That's the goal. Because that helping her starting another business and having her be a partner of it is way more beneficial than any sort of time bonus I can give you. Right.
That'd be like property management or.
Yeah, whatever,
something
property
like that.
management.
Yeah.
It could be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, marketing, who knows what. But that's what I look at, right? And but if it wasn't Kelly, that might not be the case.
Right.
But I know she's capable. And Kelly ran the admissions office at the University of St. Thomas.
Yep.
I know she's got the leadership and operational capabilities to do something bigger. And I know she's only going to feel fulfilled at the highest level doing something bigger, right? So my goal is, okay, how can I keep helping her grow and still have her, benefit what we've got going on and stuff too. And oh, by the way, once this guy does a year or two under that, and his culture becomes accountability and focus on the pipeline and focused on conversion, what do you think he's then going to be able to do? He's going to be able to hold other people accountable as well, right? So it's very much a leadership development. The biggest leadership development, where do you think the biggest leadership development occurred in our organization?
To start with, you mean for you?
Yeah, in this organization, where do you think the biggest leadership development occurred?
I think, just hiring Kelly, getting her up to speed within your first.
Biggest leadership
Biggest
development
challenge.
was right here.
Oh, well.
And it came on the day when I said, here's our real estate business. Grab that from me. You're in charge now. That was the biggest leadership development, because all of a sudden she was running it. She was in charge of this person and everything the business did or failed to do.
So if it failed, you'd say it's your fault.
That's an Army saying. The Army says, hey, if you're the commander, the squad leader, the platoon sergeant, you're responsible for everything your unit does or fails to do. Right? So I'm being harsh. I don't run this thing like the military.
Oh, I'm sure you don't.
I know. But that was
You're the boss
biggest,
when she's not there.
that was the biggest leadership growth moment.
Yep.
And then as it has grown, it's increased hers, and it's increased hers, and it's now increasing his.
Yeah.
Right? Because now he's rising to their level of leadership. Her leadership is growing because she's in charge of him now. Her leadership is growing through the roof because I'm not there as a crutch anymore, and she's managing this.
Surround yourself with
Right.
better people.
Thankfully, I'm married to them.
She can't get rid of you, right?
That helps by default. I mean, she could. But yeah, so that's the importance of, once you're hiring, continue to train and consult them. Carly does cash talks weekly, every week with Kelly. She did it with Holly too back in the day. And it's so important to have those conversations and to talk with people and get that feedback and stuff. And then I don't know, I think Carly does the cash talk with our buyer's agent. I don't think Kelly does. But these two work together close daily. But I think her mechanism of staying in touch with this person is a weekly cash talk. I also reach out too. The one thing I do get, I get phone calls on occasion, but the one thing I do get weekly are the numbers.
Yep.
And that's when, if I see something, that's when I'll reach back in and ask some questions here or there. For example, I got the numbers yesterday, and I saw we went from 15 closed, 15 pending, for like 3.8 million and 4.4 million. We went from that to 15 and 14. Very rarely do we go backward, right? And I kind of knew what the reason was, but I just emailed Kelly and said, hey, did our unit in volume go backward because of the Kinsella transaction? I knew there was a deal. I knew there was a deal. Carly was working with some clients that was going through inspection that had the possibility of canceling. Right, so I just reached back down and said, hey, did this slip backward because of the deal get canceled? Sure, back, yep, that's what it was. Right? Because this, to me, it's no different than tracking your budget and tracking your numbers. I look at it weekly. There's all kinds of numbers that are in this, right? But this is what I look at. Okay, closed transaction. Okay, wait a minute. Why did we go backward? What's the deal?
That monthly?
I do this weekly.
So you do that weekly?
Yeah.
But are those transactions monthly transactions?
This is year to date.
Year to date. Oh, okay.
Yeah, year to date, they've closed 15 transactions, and they currently have 15 pending.
No, you can't move up there and be on his team.
Well, I don't want us to. I want my team.
I think John's gonna make it to that point.
Yep.
And it's, so I'll reach out and ask and say, hey, is that, yeah, okay, awesome. When are they getting back out there? Why did it fall apart? Did we exhaust all of our options? Are they still happy with this? Or, do we need to do anything to make sure that they're okay with the fact that that one fell apart moving forward? Just stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
How quickly do you anticipate them being under contract? I had them do an exercise a week or two ago. I had to ask for it probably for 2 weeks before I finally got it. I was asking them. I said, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to look at our pipeline right now, everybody that's not under contract on a home. Now I want you to project between now and the end of the year, which of them you think will close and what you think their projected sale price will be. Because I want to know between now and the end of the year what I can probably expect as it stands right now, volume and GCI. Between now and end of the year. That's what I want to know. And here's what I found out. Based on what we've already closed and what's in the pipeline, they've already got about 10 million in volume spoken for. And the reason I'm asking is because as I'm watching their year progress, I'm like, they're about to blow past our best year. Our best year was, believe it or not, this drives me nuts, it was like 11.9. So I'm just gonna call it 12, right? Our best year was about 12 million. Right now, it's about to be June, so we're about halfway through the year, and they've got about 10 million spoken for. So right now, and I keep telling Carly this, I'm like, you've got the potential to get 15 million this year. Really, they could maybe do 20 if they got crazy. They've got the potential to do 15 million volume this year, which would be 3 million more than our best year yet. And every million is about $30,000 in GCI. So they've got the potential to do about $100,000 more GCI than we've ever done.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm trying to forecast or stay about 6 months ahead of where they are is I need to start asking myself, okay, if we get to this, number one, how do we sustain it? And how do we keep increasing it? Yeah. Right? What does it look like if we're a 15 to $20 million producing team at the end of 2018? Where do we go in 2019? Does that mean more people? Which direction do we want to take this? Because we can keep ratcheting it up and I can keep working my wife to death. Or we can start making some conscious decisions to say, hey, if we've got this kind of additional money in the operation, maybe we're okay bringing some additional people on and giving up some of the commission that we would normally have.
So would you do another buyer's agent or would you do a listing agent? Or would you do another operation?
It probably wouldn't be another staff person. It would probably be another agent because right now our overcapacity is agents being able to service clients because we're buy-side buyers. So it could be solved in one of two ways. One way could be we bring on somebody else to help service buyers. The second way could be we consciously do more listings because that's something that you can do more of a little easier. But it's so hard to say, I'm going to snap my fingers and just do more listings, right? I get that it doesn't work that way. So a likely solution that will help, still maintain quality of life is an additional agent to service some of that business. And then at that point, if you continue to ratchet up, then all we're doing is Carly's role is shifting from, this is where I'm most interested to take the organization. We've got Carly, we've got our operations person, or people. Right now, I think we're good with just one. And she switches from lead agent to lead coach / mentor. And all she does
Support her team.
is coach and mentor the agents on the team. So the value proposition is this. You've got a rock solid administrative operation machine supporting your business, and you've got an agent who is a $15 to $20 million plus producer providing you mentorship and coaching. And oh, by the way, we're helping you generate business. That becomes a value proposition. And all of a sudden, her hours become much more traditional 9 to 5, right? But here's the deal. for us to make a move to that and start surrendering GCI in splits, there has to be enough margin there.
Yep.
So it's been a conscious effort to work us up to a volume level where we can make that transition and not have to like surrender or take a huge hit in income, right? Because that's not the goal.
Right.
So. And who knows if
How
that'll
long
work?
before those agents will be able to support? I mean, do you have a certain volume that they must?
Me personally, if we're gonna bring an agent on, I would, on my minimum that I wanna help them hit in a year is 3 million.
How many transactions does that mean for your area? I don't know.
Let's call it 250 is probably, we could probably call it 250. So what's 3 million divided by 250?
I don't know, there's too many zeros.
Well, there's 4, make a million, 4 deals.
12.
Yeah, about 1 month.
That's not bad.
No.
That's very doable.
It
That's
is.
very, very reasonable.
That's why I said it's the minimum. Right? What I want to do, what would be great is if we can get people in the 3 to 5 range. Because too, I've run the numbers on this. If we can help them do at least 3 to 5 million annually, they're making good money.
Yeah.
You know, by the way, we are too. Right? So that kind of becomes this. And here's the deal: who better to coach you and get you to 3 to 5 million than somebody who's done it? Right? So that's the idea behind it. And when you break it down that way and say, here's our deal, our job is to help you do a deal a month. Right? And all of a sudden, once you get somebody to do a deal a month, it's pretty easy for them to transition to about 2 a month. Exactly. Yeah. Right? And then at that point, you just start having a conversation of, you know, do we keep them on the team and keep providing value, or do they get to a point where they're doing so well that we say, hey, we've done our job, congratulations.
You're on your own.
Maybe now we teach and show you how to do your own thing, and I'm cool with that. Right? This was a win-win while it lasted. It might not always be a win-win. Right?
So to help an agent, Leon, not to mention names, to hire that person, you just kind of have to exhaust who you know.
Yeah. First, you got to go to career visioning, which I know you've been to, right, man? Yeah. Go to career visioning, both sessions of it. You need to KPA people. You need to disc them, and then.
But KPA really, you got to really look at that really close.
You do.
I'm not very good about analyzing that very well.
KPA is not a determiner. It's an information source.
Because I'm not good to be anything.
Debbie, if you look at my what was the ABA at the time,
Yeah.
for a mega or lead agent, it was not good. I excelled at a buyer's agent. I happened to become a mega agent by being a really good buyer's agent, right? I would imagine Carly's isn't either, right? So it's a source of information. It gives you perspective on that person. It's not the be all end all on whether or not you should hire them. But what it can do is help you identify strengths and weaknesses you need to keep in mind when you do hire. Right?
And that's where you go into Read Strength Finder 2.0.
Yeah. And also the disc is helpful, because I want to know what their personalities and how they're going to interact with people. Right? I would actually probably weight personality styles a little bit more than I might weight somebody's percentage match at a given position. Right? And then I'm also asking myself, is this person coachable? Right? So career visioning, KPA them, disc them, interview them. And oh, by the way, if you want me to interview some people, either for you or with you, you just let me know. I do all the time. Bruce and Kelly, when they hired Beth, they did what's taught at career visioning now, which is something called like the defense or whatever, or basically said, hey, this is our candidate, this is who we want to hire. It was myself and their MAPS coach at the time, basically kind of grilled them and, you know, made them really defend their decision to hire her, right? We shook them through everything and, you know, worked them through that entire process. So they didn't talk themselves into just hiring somebody. They had to run past a couple other people that really made them critical about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got nothing tied to this, so I'm going to get in there. I'm going to ask you some tough questions, right? So it's a good process. And then always, always, always stick to the first 100 days philosophy. If it's not working, after 30, 60, 90 days, hey, let's go our separate ways.
Yeah.
And have that conversation. Like anytime we've hired somebody, they've known up front that we're going to continue to evaluate this. And at the end of 100 days, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. We're going to go separate ways, right? I wouldn't surprise them with that on day 100.
No.
But if they know that going into it, it makes that an easier conversation to have. So anyway, I think I've blown past the time. I apologize.
Yeah.
So too often we talk about how to win in multiples, how to hold open houses, the scripts, all that, and that's all great stuff. But this is the most valuable information. Absolutely. Because you can go out there and be the most skilled at scripts and close 50 deals annually. But if you're not running your business the right way,
Still be broke.
you could still be in the negative, broke. You can have a crazy life, right? So it's the budgeting, it's the operational, it's the organizational, it's the lead generation, it's all the boring business stuff. I'm using the word boring on purpose because I know most agents find this to be boring. Those of us that are weird love digging into this stuff, right? But it's digging into this and really mastering it, wrapping your head around
That's
it.
what makes you a business
Yeah,
right
this
there.
is there's a reason it's called millionaire real estate agent. It's your map to making $1 million, right? If you look at when I came to Keller Williams in 2012, came to Keller Williams 2012. Let's just get personal. I hope you guys realize you know me well enough, and I'm not bragging. Because I'm just being transparent with you about my business, right? That is what it is. Came to Keller Williams in 2012. I had not hit the $100,000 GCI mark yet. Hadn't done it. Hadn't even got there, right? So now we're at 2018, right? Yeah. We're probably on pace 2018 to do 400,000 in GCI. That's before tax.